How is everyone? Hope all is well. This is just going to be another market review, just of what I'm looking at for this coming week. Okay, cool. So always starting out on the dollar. That's what I like to do personally anyway, just to kind of give you a real bias of what most of the other pairs are doing. Most of what I look at is USD anyway, bar euro pound anyway. So looking at the dollar and kind of what that's doing is going to give you a lot greater help in finding potential setups and things. Okay, so if you've been watching my videos for a while, we have taken out this weekly high. We've actually broken above it. And now I'm kind of really looking forward to see if we're going to actually get some more retracements again, back down into these levels in here to then go long, or if we are actually going to just stay around this and continue higher. So really and truly what I'm looking at the moment, I said for a while when price was in and around here, I think, and I said about these equal lows that were generated. So prices actually came back down, but we did actually come into an overall 12-hour zone, which is what I did say in one of my previous videos as well. We came to this 12-hour zone, we reacted, and then we just kind of pumped through it. So when I saw kind of this move, this was kind of giving me a bit of incentive that the dollar is probably going to have like a bit of a strong die off. And then we just took out these lows, and then you can see price kind of just made this corrective move. You can see we have our impulse, our correction. This is nothing more than a distribution. You have manipulation, manipulation, manipulation. You have that one final move. This is your test. So this is basically your buying climax. Secondary test again. We can class that as your UT, and then you have your UTAD, which is actually mitigating out of something. Whenever you find, usually more so Wyckoff, or actually no, to be honest, just in terms of like supply and demand, when like looking for tests and like quite a lot in accumulations and distributions, is prices actually needing to do something important for like to carry its next move. So you can see not only have they taken all the liquidity to actually pump more liquidity into the market, they've actually closed off orders and actually been able to put more new orders in for actually that continuation for sales. So what I'm really looking at is we had a really, really nice distribution of this area. This is our test. This is technically now you can just see even more of a second test. Price could run this high, maybe so, but I don't think that is potentially going to happen. I think we are going to stick with this bearish momentum. We do have some lows all the way down here as well, which I could potentially think is going to be a target. But for the time being, I'm going to wait and see if we can just kind of sweep out some of these lows in here, which never really kind of did anything of significance. But price is showing us bearish movement, so I am just going to stick with bearish momentum. I'm probably just going to wait for a bit of a correction and then just the continuations back to the downside. If we actually flip this, you can actually invert it. So you're looking at it from like a buy standpoint. So you can see now it's looking pretty nice if we were to potentially look for some sort of buys and continuations. So that's one thing I like to do, just invert it, because I used to trade better looking from a sell perspective. Now it's kind of a buy perspective, which is a bit more different, but you can just invert your chart just so you can kind of see it from another point of view. I find it quite helpful. So that's for dollar. So dollar, I'm just basically expecting retracements and then back down into shorts, and then kind of see what reactions we get around here. If we do obviously break a lot lower, then it's just going to be looking for the case of the supply that caused the break and then continue lower, just following this whole train down now. So with that in mind, I could potentially see, or potentially could see some nice PA on AU, see if we can actually get a bit of a run back up into the upside. We're looking at our daily structures. You can see we've got our low, well, our breaker structure here. We have our lower low, lower high, lower low. Now looking for that lower high to then actually see if we can just have that continuation a bit shorter. So there could be potential nice room on the table. We do still have imbalances here. We've still got these highs that I'd like to see get taken out. We are absolutely crushing through liquidity and structure at this moment. There's a lot of supply that's been invalidated as well. So now I'm just really looking for pullbacks and continuations. So higher time frame, and last week jumping on the 4 hour, I was looking for price to actually come in and around this area. We just missed it. which was a shame. And I was really looking for this 12-hourly to actually kind of get tested and filled, and just continuations from there. But following on from a high time frame, we do still have this weekly imbalance now, because price is going to open. Well, price is going to open here tomorrow, so we could get that wick down and then that wick back up, which is something that I have seen before. And if you're looking at on like kind of a weekly time frame, you think, oh, that could take ages. But in reality, when you actually scale it down, this weekly open is exactly the same place that I was potentially looking for buys from, which is equally this 12-hour. So with that in mind, and on the daily, we did kind of actually close a little bit bearish. We did kind of close last week strong. What time frame did I just say? Yeah, so this 12-hour. What I do think could happen is I think we could entice sellers with this wick. Price could kind of come down. We mitigate going into Monday, Tuesday, and then we continue and we actually take out this wick, because for me, this is now a liquidity wick. We have swept liquidity with this wick, but for me, this is just for the banks to actually kind of just target this. And I'm sure 2 o'clock, yeah, there we go. So 2 o'clock New York Open, or half an hour before, we have this New York high. And if you guys know about session times and crossovers and things, highs and lows, if you don't, I'd have a look at that. It's really interesting. You can see we've actually just created more targets for the upside and buy side, which is really, really nice. So we first of all, we had this wick low, and then we had our second, and then we had our third. And then you can see we had some strong supply here, and price is broken above, pullback test, and we've continued. So again, this is a accumulation in its own right. You can do it just manipulating, and we are pushing higher. But what I do think could potentially happen is I think we could have this potential run back down and then continues. I am going to look for buys somewhat in this area if I get the right confirmations. We do have this whole 15-minute order, which is actually really nice. We do have some liquidity resting down here, which is what I don't like too much. But we definitely could potentially come in and take out that wick. I'm looking for buys, obviously, higher time frame and things, but I do think we potentially could have one more run down a little bit. We did come in and kind of fill 50% of this imbalance, so in some ways it is actually valid. So I wouldn't be surprised if price opened and it actually continued. I really wouldn't be surprised. So what I'm going to do is I do want to see if we can get some sort of pullback into some supply, whether that's going to be in here, and kind of see what reaction we get if we go into Monday open, price comes up, we come down. If we do find that move and that accumulation, then I am going to see if I can gain on something. But if we just get this completely invalidated and price really just strongly does die off, I will potentially look to see if we can get some more accumulations to take this back to the top side, because we've got some or quite a lot of liquidity within these highs. So yeah, I'm going to wait and see what happens. So we've got a few options with this. There was a 50-minute imbalance that I was kind of eyeing up, which was here. Anywhere kind of within this zone. Obviously, I'd like to be seeing that we could actually just sweep these lows and actually kind of make that move back higher. But we will see. I am going to keep everyone updated going into Monday, and things like that. So euro pound has been quite good one for me so far. What I am potentially thinking on this is we could keep all of this liquidity resting within these highs, and then actually finally come down, take out this low, and to see if we can actually come back up and see if we can get some sort of tests. High time frame, we are actually super bearish at the moment, but we could get a bit more of a retracement just up into this high, and then potential shorts back to the downside. So that's going to be quite nice to see what we do get. I'm going to be potentially looking for buys potentially off in this area to see if we can take this back up into a nice 30-minute, or if we actually just continue back lower and eventually take out some of these highs in here. So that's what I'm looking at. If you guys need any help, please let me know. Feel free to fire away and I'll help you as much as I can. All right, guys.